Why, hello, gentle people. This is Super Mario DC. I'll figure out a cooler way of saying that later. Before we get started, though, if you notice that there's a difference in my voice, it's just that I've been trying to fight off this cold. So I'm sorry if that's an inconvenience. It shouldn't really be. Today we are continuing where we left off with the Fat Cat illustration. Um, let's look at layers that we have. In the layers panel we have the face and fingers layer, the body layer, and the arms layer. Okay, so starting out, firstly I'll change the name of this layer. I don't want it to be face and fingers, rather should be more appropriately named face and paws layer, because what I'll be doing is putting the claws or the fingers on the same layer with the ears. And since the paws are in front of the arm, then I'll put the paws on the same layer with the face. So let's get started with the paws. Best tool for this, again, shape tool, going to ellipse tool. Alright, so we're just going to morph some circles for this. Select arrow, morphing arrow, and you realize, just like how we could morph the pen tool or edit the shape of the path done by the pen tool, we can morph the ellipse tool with the anchor points, and this is really convenient. Let's go again. Circle. I'll click the white arrow to edit the shape. Okay. Again, circle. No, I don't want two circles. Just one. And bring this over here. Bring this down there. And back to the circle tool. We edit it with the white arrow. Select, drag down here, drag up here. Okay, so that looks so far so good. Now we'll be moving across to the next arm. Scrolling across, taking my time. Almost there. Alright, so let's go back to the ellipse tool. Start this big one. Cancel. Alright, now we edit the shape using the white arrow. Click the anchor point. Move. I'm going to turn this lever back, so move this a bit up, and let's see, turn this lever back in like that. Yeah, okay, let's make the others. Let's make 3 circles in one go. Now let's use the arrow. Next. And again. Alright, so very quickly we made all the paws. Select view, fit all in window. Alright, good. Alright, so now that we have the paws and the face on one layer. Let's do the claws or the fingers and the ears on another layer, and we have to create a layer for that. I see that layer 5 is empty, so we'll just rename this one claws and ears. Okay, we'll start now. Let's zoom in on the arm, and what we'll do, we'll lock the paws layer, paws and face layer, so that whatever we draw doesn't disturb this right here. Let's go back for the pen tool. Alright, Control Z, Control Z. Let's redo that. Alright. Let's just round this up a bit. Perhaps too round now. Okay, that's alright. Go back on the pen tool. Okay, press enter to move on to our next part. Okay, let's just sharpen the tip of this. Okay, around this point, bring down a bit. Guys in, and that should be alright. Next. Alright, so we're just going to edit this one to make it a bit fatter. Alright, so that's fine for me. Let's move on to the next claw. Speed things up a bit. And then we go up. Go back to the pen tool. Press enter to finish that tool and to finish that part, and continue creating a new one. Alright, that's going to need to be slimmed a bit. Alright, next. And for the final claw slash finger. Okay, good. Now let's do the ears. Now we go up, right down. Alright, and to make the inner ear, we're just going to select this with the black arrow, hold Control C, Control F to paste in front, and then we're going to hold Shift and scale it so it doesn't stretch. Let me just demonstrate that. When you're not holding Shift, you can always stretch it, make it faster. Control Z to go backwards. But when you're holding Shift, it scales exactly same height, same width. Let's move that into place, and that's what we want. Let's go to the next ear, and then we draw the next ear with the pen tool. Okay, Control Z. Select the back arrow, Control C, Control F. Let's go backwards. Select the back arrow, Control C, Control F, and then we hold Shift and scale it. And then we'll just click it and move it into place. Control Z. Edit, redo, scale. You can use the arrow keys to move it into place. Alright, so let's zoom out and see what we have. It all in window. Okay. Alright, so what do we have left? The face, ears, the claws. I think I could make these claws appear better. Alright. Okay. Control Z. Alright, that's good enough. Sharp enough. Let's go and fit all in window. And we see that we have the tail left to do. Alright, so here's how we'll do the tail. Yes. And should we put the tail on this layer? No, we'll make a separate layer for the tail. So the layer 7 is an empty layer. Let's rename it tail. Okay, so we'll start with the tail on, yes, we're on the tail layer, and let's close off these other layers, and we're going to do the tail in the same way that we did the arms earlier. Instead of trying to outline the tail, we're going to make one path down the center of the tail, and then we're going to increase the weight on that stroke. Control Z. Let's try it again. Okay. Control Z, press enter, finish. See how that looks. Okay, so it does look a bit awkward in these parts. Let's try to round that up a bit. Let's move this down, a bit more curvy. Move it down. Alright, so that's alright. Let me just center this a bit more. And curve this a bit. Round this out. Alright, so that's good enough. That's good enough for me. Let me just... Okay. So we just select stroke and go into layers, go into stroke panel, increase it. It's now 1 point, let's put that at 8 points, see how it appears. Okay, let's put it at 20, a little more, 30. Yeah, that's about it. I'm going to give it a rounded end. So that's perfect. Now we'll select it and go into object, path, outline stroke. Now flip the fill and the stroke, and there we have the tail. Okay, so I'm not going to correct this little bit here. That's alright for me. What we'll do is to again go to the pen tool. You know what, let's press Ctrl Z, let's go back. The reason why I'm doing is that we're going to require a separate path going up the tail again. So what we're going to do is just Ctrl C, go back, and before we make this too large, we're going to copy it. Copy, Ctrl C, Ctrl V, and now we have a copy. Alright, we're going to need this layer, so that's why later, so that's why I did that. So we're going to go back, do the same to this, go to your 30, rounded corner, into object, and path, outline stroke. There. Now we can simply carry this back in right here instead of doing that over again. Good. And next thing we'll need is some stripes. So we're going to go into the line tool, and we're going to click the small arrow to the corner, scroll down to rectangular grid. Good. And now this is what this tool does. It creates a grid, but we only need, right now we need to create a series of vertical lines like this. We don't need the horizontal lines. So let's Ctrl Z, going back. So double click. What we're going to do now, we're going to change the settings. Say horizontal dividers, no, we don't need that. 0. Vertical dividers, let's see, we're trying to make these stripes here, so about 20 would do. Don't think more than that, perhaps about 18. Okay, and we're just going to create that box or that grid. We see now that it has no horizontal dividers, only vertical. And we're going to go back to the white arrow and click the outside edges of the box, and on your keyboard press delete, and then you can click the bottom horizontal border, press delete again. Alright, so we have exactly what we need, a series of horizontal lines. So easy, and you don't have to go there with the line tool trying to make them manually. We have it quite easily right here. Alright, so now that we have these lines, what we must firstly do, very important, is to right click, select all, right click, and ungroup. Now from there we're going to follow instructions. I'm going to object, transform each. I've already entered the value, 70 points, random, preview, Make sure those are ticked, and that's alright for us. So click OK. Now these are going to end up being the stripes on the tail, so we want to give them a similar weight as these are similar thickness. So we're going to stroke panel and we select 5 should do. I think 5 is okay. I'm going to give them rounded corners. Good. Now we can already see that they've been selected individually. What we'll do, drag the black R all over them, select them all, and we're going to minimize the height to similar, so it will be similar to the tails. Height similar to this point or this distance or smaller, and I think that's okay. It's a bit smaller. It's better for it to be smaller than larger than this, because then we highlight everything, and what we're going to do next is turn this into a brush. So we're going to open up our brush panel, going to Windows, let's scroll down to brushes. Good. Now we see right here we have the button or the option for creating a new brush. I've already created one similar to this for my own Fatcat, and so we're just going to select this and drag it into that option, and we're going to select new art brush. Okay, use this as the direction. I can change direction. It has to be left or right, preferably right. So afterwards click OK, and there we have it. Now what do? We no longer need this. You can select delete. We're going to select this line in the center, select this new brush, and we can see what it does. It follows the contoured line all the way down the tail. Let's just move this into place, the arrow keys. Okay, so that looks great. Next we select it again, select object, expand appearance, see what that does, and then we go back into object, path, outline stroke. We're going to switch the fill for the outline. I will see how that appears. Nice. Well, after doing all that, all we have to do is make these layers visible again, and we can see all the work that we've done. So we have most of the major elements covered. The next thing we have to do, or the final line work we have to do, is the shirt and perhaps the cigar, and I think we'll leave the cigar for last. So you'll create another layer for the clothing. Layers panel, here we are, and let's see, layer 6, nope, it's empty, so we'll just rename this layer clothing. Alright, so what we'll do, back to the pen tool, and let us just turn off the tail layer and the arms layer, and then we can easily see what we're doing here. Start here to make the color of the shirt, pen tool, good, select enter, and do it again right here. I'm not worrying about the shape as yet, so we're just going to select enter and start at the other edge and shape. Good. Now we're going to zoom in. Oh, not that close. Fit all in window. Zoom in. Start right here with the pen tool. Control Z. And Control Z, Control Z. Make a short end. We're not going to draw these levers out too far on that anchor point. Let's keep them short so we can make sharp ends. And then we're going to go all the way up here. Good. Let's enter. I'm going to go back to the arrow, edit these nodes right here. Now I'm going to start from here, draw another line right here. Control Z, Control Z. To continue this time, I'm going to click on the last one. Continue it right here. Press enter. Go back to the arrow, and then I'll just bring this one closer in. Okay, so there we have the color. Good, good. Next we make the tie. Right there. Press enter. Control Z. Let's just imagine the tie starts here, going up. And let's drag that lever until it matches the contours of the tie. Now let's press enter. Let's start here and at this side of the screen, and then we can just join it. Press the black arrow. Aha! Now we have a tie and the color. So now we do the stripes. Let me just close this using the white arrow. Let me just close this gap right here. So the black arrow, going to view, fit all in window. Alright, so that's good. Next we do the stripes, and we're going to need 3 more layers to do that. So here's how we do it. In order to do the stripes, we're asked to use the Pathfinder tool, and to ensure that works properly, we're going to have to create 2 other layers. So starting with the body layer, let's create another layer, call it head. H-A-D. Alright, so here's what we'll do. Let's turn off these other layers right now. And what we'll do, we'll copy the contents of the body layer, which is the outline of the cat, and we'll paste it into the head layer. Control C, and click on the head layer, and Control F to place it in the same place. Alright, so go backwards, Control Z, Control Z, Control C, turn off this layer, move to the head layer, Click the screen, Control F. Good. Alright, so what we're trying to do is to create an outline of just this part, going down the collar and then going up to the head. And how we'll do that is this way. We're going to go back on the clothing layer, and what we'll do, down, and we'll copy, let's copy this, just the underside. I mean, we don't need this part, we're just going to copy what's underneath using the black arrow. So let's just select more, just hold shift and select another piece that hadn't been selected in the first try. Now Control C, and we can close off this layer, go back to the head layer, click the screen, and Control F. Good. Now what we'll do is hold down on that arrow at the corner of the pen tool, scroll down and select Add Anchor Point Tool. We're just going to magnify this spot right here where both these lines meet. And what we're going to do is create a new anchor point right here, and we're going to go over to the other side and do the same. And soon enough you'll find out the reason for me doing this. Yeah. Good. Just make sure there's an anchor point right there. Okay. Very visibly an anchor point now. Let's go back over to the other side and ensure there's one there too. Good. Now zoom out or select Fit All in Window and select your white arrow. And here's what we're going to do. Select this anchor point and select backspace, and we're going to select this anchor point right before it reaches this line. Select backspace. Good. Now we see what happens. It stops right where we add both anchor points on each side. Now what we can do easily now is select the white arrow, select this endpoint, hold shift, select the other endpoint, right click and join. Good. Now move over to the other side and do the same. Select this endpoint, hold shift, select the other endpoint, right click, select join. Now Fit All in Window, and we can just get rid of this excess shape down here. We don't want this. Good. So now we have top part where these stripes should end, and then we need a note. We're going to go back into the body layer, and we're going to copy this again, body shape, Control C, hide the body layer, select the head layer and Control F. Okay, Control Z. Let's put a stroke on it, black stroke, select, Control F. Alright, seems to be coming out with no stroke. Let's go into color or swatches and select black. Okay, we're just going to move that down, up. Alright, so we see what we have here is a perfect separation of the two halves. There's one outline of the head, and then there's another outline of the body, and that's exactly what we need, both of those on one layer. Good. Now, how to make these stripes? We're going to make them in a similar way as we did for the tail. So we're going to go back into and close this. Let's go bring screen down a bit. I'm going to back into grid, double click, and we need a lot more vertical dividers. So let's add 30. See how that works out. Drag it across. Doesn't seem enough. Control Z, going back, double click again, and let's add 40. See how that looks. Yeah, and that's about it. Let's see. Might be even more. Let's Control Z. $50. Let's see if the instructions specifies. Stroke. It doesn't seem to specify. Alright. So let's continue with 50, see how it looks. Alright, so 50 seems alright to me. Seems sufficient. Right. Cancel. We don't want a second one. And what we'll do, similar to last time, is using the white arrow, select the endpoints, select delete, Control Z, sorry, select the endpoint, select delete, press delete again. Alright, so we have only the lines, which is exactly what we need. Select the black arrow, select everything, and then we're going to make them a bit thicker. Going to stroke. It's at 1 now. Let's see how 2 looks. So 2 seems sufficient. I'm going to object, and we're going to go into path, outline stroke. Good. I'm going to flip this. Aha, so there we go. So we have the white stripes going down. So all we need to do now is edit object, expand. Well, experience doesn't need to be expanded right now. I give you maybe the option. Let's do Controls cancel. Let's go back, Control Z, Control Z. Let's edit object. Oh, still doesn't give me the options. Alright, so let's redo stroke and redo paint style. Good. Alright, so let's give this a sharp break and let's return to down here. What we'll do, we'll group the head outline with the collar and tie. Control group or Control G to group it automatically as a shortcut for grouping it. And we go back to this, and what we're going to do is to edit it so that it fits the contour of the cat's body. So we're going to select it all, go into effect, warp, and bulge. Now we select preview, and I think 7 is a good bulge for the cat, and I put 7 is a good distortion for the cat, and I put the bulge at 50%. Alright, so let's select OK, Control Z, um, redo warp, sorry, select the warped lines, and we're going to go into object and expand appearance. Good. Now we're going to bring this down, stretch it a bit, position it with the arrow keys. Good. Now this is the moment of truth. Will it work with the Pathfinder? So we're going to select the bulged lines or bulged stripes, and select. We're going to select it with the body outline. We're going to select minus front. Okay, so that's good. Now again, we're going to select it with the head layer or the head outline, and then we're going to select minus front. Nope, we're going to select opposite of minus front. We're going to select unite, and there we have it. There's a bit of lag right here where the tie is, so we're just going to take that out with the white arrow. Select these individually, white arrow, delete, delete, delete. Alright, so here we have the stripes going all up and down the body, and don't get too worried about these outlines. That's fine, you'll see how it ends up looking. So right now we have the stripes, and we can just call this, let's see, let's go on the open the layers panel. Instead of the head, we'll just rename this stripes. Okay, so when we turn on the other layers, it's starting to make sense, and it's all coming together. We have the tail layer left. Alright, so all we have left to do are these colors. Yeah, not colors, sleeves. So let's do the sleeves on the clothing layer. So clothing layer, magnify appearance. We don't need the brush tool or the brush panel right now. Select the pen tool, and we start again. Okay, we still have it on the add anchor point tool. Let's select the pen tool again, the options. Okay, one right here. This a bit, Control Z. I want to give this a sharp curve, so I'm going to put one here to catch this curve, and then I'm not going to pull these levers out too far. I'm just going to curve it in right here. Control Z, Control Z, curve it in right here. Again, I want this to be another sharp corner, so I'm not going to pull these out too far. That's good enough for me. Let's see. It's a bit angular, it's a bit awkward, so let me just see if I can add a bit more curve to it. Yeah, let me just get it the same here. Still a bit angular here. Let's move you up a bit. Alright, let's zoom in on these two anchor points. Set the arrow. think I don't need this. I'm going to select on this arrow tool, set delete anchor point, and remove the anchor point without affecting the line. Alright, so let's put it all in window. Okay, so that's good. Next, still on delete anchor point tool, so we're going to select pen tool again. Start here, bring it down here. Ctrl Z. I want a nice curve on this, so I'm going to put one here to catch that curve, then put a small one here without pulling out the lever, so I can get a sharp twist back this way. And I just press enter because I'm finished with that path. Alright, so let's zoom out and see what we have. View, fit all in window, and let me just correct this point down here. It's kind of bugging me. Right arrow. Okay, I see this point has, this lever has been twisted too much. Alright, so let's go back, fit all in window. And now guys, for the big reveal, let's slowly turn on all the layers. It's looking good, isn't it? I mean, be honest, it's looking great. Alright guys, I might have to move this arm a bit up. Let's just do that right now. Click, hold down shift, click the next anchor point, hold down shift, click that final anchor point, and we're going to move them all up. And now I just press black arrow, click somewhere else on screen. I don't need to fix this actually because it won't be shown. So we've finished all the line work. Congratulations if you reach this point. Next time when we come back, we'll be coloring the fat cat. Alright, so remember to click save.